Hello now, welcome everyone to today's webinar on sticky notes and drag and drop. Now, sticky notes and the file drag and drop are both suite apps that are offered within NetSuite. Here at OneKloudX, our focus is on maximizing your NetSuite investment, and we provide services across implementation, support, development, and integrations for NetSuite. I'm the host for today. My name's Ross Johnston, and I am an account manager here at OneKloudX. So I look after our customers across Australia and New Zealand and help them optimize and enhance their usage of NetSuite and make the most out of the session. So in terms of the agenda for today, we'll start off with a quick introduction before we jump into our sticky notes and our file drag and drop. Now, we're going to have a pretty similar flow for both of these suite apps. Starting off with the sticky notes, we'll go through the initial installation, the configuration, and then a demonstration of the functionality. And then the same again for file drag and drop. We'll go through the installation, config, and then a demo as well. We'll wrap up at the end with a Q&A. So if you do have any questions throughout the session, please feel free to drop them in the Q&A box and we'll address them at the end. So I guess, first of all, why are we hosting the webinar today on sticky notes and file drag and drop? So with NetSuite, you may be aware that there's a suite app marketplace that has over 500 suite apps available. Now, out of those suite apps, there's various different free ones that are available that allow you to improve your usage of NetSuite without any further investment into the product. Now, we have hosted webinars previously on other free suite apps that can be downloaded, such as the Dashboard 360s across your Cash 360, Customer 360, Supply 360, and so on. So if that's something that you're interested in, then please feel free to get in touch with myself, and I'm more than happy to share further details on the previous webinars. Now, the focus for today are two underused suite apps, which are the sticky notes and file drag and drop. Again, these are both free within NetSuite, so they can be installed today, and you can start making use of the utility functionality that they provide. Now, along with today's webinar, we have also produced a detailed user guide, allowing you to easily set up and utilize these features. So to start things off, we'll be covering the Sticky Notes Suite app. Now, what is the Sticky Notes Suite app? Sticky Notes allows you to attach notes to different records and transactions in NetSuite, allowing you to track conversations between users in the system and collaborate on different activities and tasks that need to be carried out across those specific recipients that are tagged in the notes. Now, the notes can either be private, in which you would be tagging specific recipients for their visibility, or can be public as well, so shared across all of the users in the system to provide that full visibility. Now, as well as providing visibility of the notes within NetSuite itself, the Sticky Notes Suite app does also include automatic email notifications, making sure that users have that visibility outside the system as well and are prompted of any notes that have been created and they have been tagged in as well, so they can go directly into NetSuite to view that note. In terms of the installation of Sticky Notes, again, our user guide that we'll be sharing after this, we'll go through this in more granular detail, but there's a couple of prerequisites included when you are looking to install the Sticky Notes Suite app. So those are enabling the client suite script, server suite script, and the custom records functionality within NetSuite. Now, an administrator, once these prerequisites have been enabled, can install the Sticky Notes Suite app by going to Customization, Suite Bundler, search and install bundles, and then looking for the bundle either by the bundle name or the bundle ID. And from there, there's just a couple of steps to install, and from there, you are ready to configure the Sticky Notes Suite app. In terms of configuration of sticky notes, there are various different configuration options available, again, all of which are detailed in our user guide that we will be sharing. But these configuration options include the types of records that you are setting sticky notes to be available for, the user access, whether that's across the full users within NetSuite or only specific roles, as well as further options around the email notification and email capture settings and the ability to attach files as well. There's also the option to set the viewing of historical notes on transferred records. So say, for example, you have an opportunity record and you create an estimate from there. This feature allows you to automatically carry that note across so that you've got full visibility of any transferred records within the system without losing the notes that are attached to those historical records. Okay, so we'll jump into a demo account that we've got set up for today and continue with a demonstration of the StickyNotes Suite app. So I'm just logged into a demo account of NetSuite where I'll be going through the initial installation, configuration, and then the usage of sticky notes, and then later on in the session, the file drag and drop functionality as well. So as mentioned, there's a couple of prerequisites. Now these prerequisites, the features can be enabled by an administrator by going to Set Up Company and Enable Features. From there, they are then found within the Suite Cloud tab, and those features are the client suite script, the server suite script, and the custom records there as well. So there's every chance that you will already have these features enabled, but just a reminder that these are a prerequisite to be able to install the bundle. From there, you can go to Customization Suite Bundler and search and install bundles, and then enter in some keywords here to search for the Suite app. So I'm just going to go ahead and search for Sticky Notes. Click search, and then we will see a couple of different options here. And it's this one at the top, which is bundle ID 49018, that we'll want to go ahead and install by clicking through and then following the prompts to install this onto our environment. Now from there, the process will run. The administrator will have installed the bundle, and from there, we will be able to go ahead and set up the different configuration options that we have for Sticky Notes. Now to set up the configuration, once the bundle is installed, we would go to our Setup, Customizations, and Sticky Notes Setup. Now from here, there's various different preferences that we can enable. I won't go through them all in the full detail. Again, we will have that within our user guide. But effectively here, we can manage all the general setup from first of all, the enabling of sticky notes on records, the ability to preview images on the records as well, and beyond that, the ability to provide the tutorial for users that are getting used to using the functionality. From there, we can also provide further admin setup, whether we are going to enable email notifications. We can also enable email capture. So say, for example, somebody gets an email notification bringing attention to a note that they are tagged in. We can set up email capture to allow that user to reply directly to that email and then capture it within the sticky notes within NetSuite. Beyond that, we can also set some general preferences here around allowing file attachments as well as viewing historical notes on transformed records. So again, if we're transforming one record type to another, that note can be carried over if we have that feature ticked here. Now on the record types, we can also select the records that we want sticky notes to be available on. You'll see in this demo account, I have got it enabled for all records. But if we do want that set for just a subset of our records and transactions in NetSuite, then we can go ahead and select from a list of the different records and transactions that we want this to be enabled for. On the Access tab, again, you'll see there's the option to enable for all roles, which I've got in this demo account, or otherwise we can go in and select the specific roles that we want to have these sticky notes available. Now from there, in terms of the initial configuration, that is pretty much it. So it's pretty easy in terms of the setting of the prerequisites, the installation of the bundle, and then the configuration of the setup to allow you to begin using the general preferences. There is also the personal preferences as well. So with the personal preferences, we can basically go in and set our own custom preferences here, where again we have got the options to hide notes on record pages, suppress tutorial on record pages, and so on as we wish. Okay, so that's it in terms of the general configuration and setup of the sticky notes. And from there, we can go ahead and allow our users to start using the functionality. So to give an example here, I'm just going to go ahead and navigate to one of our supplier records within NetSuite. Now, once the sticky notes functionality has been installed and configured, you will see this option here for sticky notes on the records that it has been enabled for. You'll see here that we can filter through the notes. So if we already have notes here, we can filter down to our high, medium, and low notes that have been attached. And we can also select whether we want to hide the existing notes that are shown on this record. Now I'm going to go ahead and add a new note for which I can select again the priority of that. And when I select the priority, I'm then prompted to either make this public or tag different users in this before I create and submit the note. So what I'm going to do here is go ahead and type ahead and select one of our users within this demo account, and then attach a note for this user to complete the supplier onboarding process and verify the bank details. Then from there, all I'm going to do is click save, and that has created our sticky note for this record, which we can see on the right-hand side. We can see from this note that it is private, which means that we can only see that as the creator of the note, as well as the recipients of the note as well. Now, beyond that, we've got some additional functionality when creating our notes. Say, for example, we want to attach a file. We can do that using drag and drop functionality. So if we want to drag and drop a supplier onboarding form here, we can attach that to the note, go ahead and create that note, and that will be visible for any of the recipients, or if it's public, to everyone that can see that note. Now from there, now that we have created this note and tagged Anne Trainer, she would receive an email in her inbox, which is letting her know that that note has been created, as well as the message that is included on that note. From there, Anne would have a link directly into this record within NetSuite so that she can navigate to that quickly and easily. I'm just going to go ahead and change into our AP analyst role, who is Anne Trainer in this instance. So once Anne has followed the link in the email, she'll be taken directly to this supplier record. And again, we'll have full visibility of the note that has been created and she has been tagged in. From there, she can track the actions. So we can say that it has been marked as done. This action has been completed. Or we can go ahead and reply to this note as well, saying that the supplier onboarding form has been shared and we are awaiting response. Now, once this note is saved, we'll see here that it is added to the record here, so we can see all of the communication and collaboration that's going on between users. And again, as well as that, anyone that has been tagged in this note, as well as the recipient owner being Catherine Glass, she will also receive an email notification of the response to that note in her email inbox. Now, from there, again, we can continue the collaboration, the communication between users, if there's multiple people that are involved in this task or activity, until we get to a point where we want to complete this note and mark it as done. When we mark it as done, we'll get this prompt to say yes or no if we want to complete this, this task. And you'll see here it puts a line through saying that this has now been complete. Now, from there, we can then also archive the note. So if we want to put this off of our screen and archive it, we can do that, as well as the option to delete the note as well. In this case, I'll go ahead and archive the note. So obviously just one example there of how sticky notes can be used for that collaboration and communication between users within the system. And beyond that, as well as having the visibility of the notes on the individual records and transactions, there is also a sticky notes board which shows all of the different notes, as well as the option to filter those across the priority levels, as well as across the record types as well. So on our sticky notes board, we can see all of the tasks that we have either created or been tagged in, as well as any public notes that are available to all users in the system. We'll see here that there's a little unlocked icon here, which indicates that this one is a public note versus one of these ones, which is a private note, for which is only visible to the note owner and the recipients that have been tagged there. In terms of using this board, we can search to filter down as well. So say, for example, we're only wanting to look at notes that include the word supplier, we can search, and the sticky notes board is going to dynamically update as we add these different filters on the left-hand side. Beyond that, we can also filter down by the priority. So say, for example, we only want to see our high-level priority sticky notes. We can filter down, so we're just looking at the ones that are high in priority. And beyond that as well, we can set filters for the date that these were created, as well as the record types that we're looking for. So if we're only wanting to look at records that are customer records that have notes attached, then we can filter down and see from there. Now, from the sticky notes board, we can also access the same actions as we can from the record itself. So say, for example, we want to go ahead and mark this as complete or reply to this sticky note, then we can do it directly from the sticky notes board as well. On the right-hand side here, you also see the option to view archived notes. So just because that note has been archived and we're no longer looking to bring attention to it, doesn't mean that it no longer exists in the system. We can see that archived note, as well as any of the attachments and the responses that have taken place throughout the collaboration and work on that note. So again, having that full traceability. In terms of the attachments, as we can see here, we've got an example of the new supplier onboarding form. If we click here, we can download that attachment as well to our file cabinet. Okay, so that's it in terms of the sticky notes. Again, just a high-level overview for just now. We will be sharing the user guide that has a bit more detail, but if you do have any questions on any of the functionality there, then please feel free to reach out to myself directly, and I'd be more than happy to discuss that further. Okay, so next up we have got the file drag and drop functionality. So similar to the sticky notes, file drag and drop is a free Suite app which improves the usability and usage of NetSuite. File drag and drop allows you to upload files from your desktop directly to a record within NetSuite using that drag and drop functionality. So instead of having to go into your communication and files and then adding your documents on an individual basis, we can simply drag and drop from our desktop either one file at a time or multiple files at a time as well. Now, what this does is it streamlines the file attachment process, allowing you to bring those records into NetSuite more quickly and easily than if you are not using this Suite app. So in terms of installation of file drag and drop, again, we have got some prerequisites, which are actually the same prerequisites as the sticky notes. So making sure that we have client suite script, server suite script, and custom records enabled before we go ahead and install the file drag and drop functionality. So in terms of the installation, we can again go to our customization, suite bundler, and search and install bundles. And this time we're going to be looking for the file drag and drop bundle, which has the ID 41309. In terms of the configuration, again, there's various different options on how the file drag and drop is configured, which includes the different record types that it's available on, and whether we're going to allow drag and drop in edit mode or in view mode as well. And beyond that, different preferences on the folder names and patterns for how these are going to be saved within the file cabinet, and then the option to provide tutorial notifications so new users can get used to the functionality. So we'll jump back into our demo account and we will provide a quick demonstration of the file drag and drop functionality. Perfect. So again, in terms of the prerequisites, we have got the same features that need to be enabled by going to our setup company enable features suite cloud, and then making sure that we've got custom records and both client and server suite script enabled here. From there, we follow the same steps as previously, where we go to our customization, suite bundler, search and install bundles, and then go ahead and search for file drag and drop in this instance. Again, this will show a couple of different options, but the one that we're looking for here is the bundle ID 41309. And from there, we can go ahead and open this up and follow the prompts to install our file drag and drop bundle by following the instructions here. Now, again, once the administrator has installed a file drag and drop, there's a couple of different configuration options on how we set this up. Now, to access the configuration options, we go again to set up customization and then file drag and drop setup. From here, we will then see the file drag and drop setup wizard, which will talk us through the different steps in setting up this functionality. Now, first of all, we need to go ahead and enable the functionality by checking this box before we then start to set some further preferences around the folder destinations within NetSuite. So you see here that we can set a global destination folder for all of the drag and drop files that we are attaching. If we do set up a global destination though, this will enable file drag and drop across all records and transactions within the system. So just something to take note of there. If you're looking to set this on an individual record by record basis, then you would just go ahead and leave the global destination folder blank. But otherwise, you would go in here and select the folder that you want all of your records to be attached to. You'll see at the bottom here that we have also got our error message recipient. So if there are any errors when users are trying to drag and drop files, then account administrators will receive that notification that there is something going wrong. Now from there, we just follow the prompts at the bottom. So we'll go ahead and click Save and Next. And at this point, we select the record types that we want to be included for file drag and drop. So you see here in this demo account, we already have customer, supplier, and purchase order set up, as well as the folders that they will be saved into. In terms of the setup of the individual records, we would go ahead, select the record type, as well as selecting the folder name that we want this to be saved into. There is also the option to use a folder pattern. Now, with the folder pattern, you would be able to define the exact pattern for how that folder and the destination is created. And if there is not a pre-existing folder for the combination of things that you're doing, then there would be a folder created when those files are dropped into the drop zone. Okay, so from there, I'm just going to go ahead and follow through. We would attach and create the record types for all of the records that we want drag and drop to be available for. And then from there, we would just click our Save and Next option, where we would have a full summary of all of the preferences that we have set, including the global destination folder if we're using one, the error message recipient, as well as the records that we've set up and the folder or folder pattern that they are going to use when we are saving our documents to our records. Now from there, we would just go ahead and click Finish to save the preferences and setup that we have enabled in the system. Now, as with Sticky Notes, there are also user preferences, which can be found by going to Home, Set Preferences, and then Custom Preferences, which allow us to select whether we are going to use file drag and drop in view mode or whether we're just going to use it in edit mode, as well as whether we want this feature to be enabled and the tutorial to be hidden as well, if we already know how to use the functionality. Now again, now that we have installed and configured the Suite app, I'm just going to go ahead and do a quick demonstration of using the functionality. So I'm just going to open one of our existing supplier records in here, and we'll see that once we have got the file drag and drop functionality enabled, we will have this drop zone at the top of any records that this has been enabled for. Now from there, we can then attach records from our desktop. So say, for example, we have got this folder here with a couple of files that we want to attach. We can simply drag and drop that file directly into the drop zone, and we're going to upload it from there. Now, as well as being able to do one at a time, we can also select multiple. So we would simply select all the files that we want to drag and drop, and then drag them over to the drop zone, at which point it's going to add all of those into our record. Now from there, once they are added, we would have the same visibility in our files, so we can still see exactly what has been added to this supplier record. But in this case, using the drag and drop functionality, we can do this a lot quicker than going through the creation of the new file and attaching that to the communication tab, as we would typically do if not currently using the drag and drop Suite app. So in terms of the drag and drop functionality, that is effectively how it works, where we can go in and drag and drop those files from our desktop into the drop zone, and they will be attached to the files within that record itself. Now, beyond that, we can also drag and drop files into specific fields. So see in this example, we've got a field for our onboarding form, which is just a free text field. What we can do is we can drag and drop that file directly into that field. You'll see I'm just getting a notice here saying that we've already got a file with that name. I'm just going to click continue. And what that does there is it attaches it to the communication, but also attaches a URL directly to that field as well, so that we can access that quickly and easily. In terms of additional functionality with the file drag and drop, we can also attach files at the line level as well. So say, for example, we've got a certain transaction. In this case, I'm opening a purchase order, but this could be for a sales order or a quote or any other transaction within NetSuite. We can actually drag and drop our files at the line level as well. So say, for example, on this purchase order, we're wanting to attach some product details to this item here. We can go ahead and again, just drag and drop and copy that across to this line item, at which point that's going to save and again attach that to our files within our communication. But what we can also do as well is show our files for that selected line item, where we can then see the file that is directly associated to the line that we have attached that to. So that's mainly it in terms of the demonstration for the file drag and drop. Again, these are both utility suite apps that improve the end user experience within NetSuite and allow users to access the documents quickly and easily, as well as with the sticky notes to attach notes and collaborate across different tasks and activities easily as well. So as mentioned, we do have some time at the end for a Q&A. So I'll just go ahead and check in the Q&A box if there have been any questions so far. But please feel free to drop in some questions just now as well, if you have any. Okay, so we do have a couple of questions here. So the first question there is on the sticky notes. So will the system send a notification to other users that they are mentioned in a sticky note? So yes, they would receive an email notification letting them know that they have been tagged or mentioned in that note. On the notification, they would have the link to go directly into NetSuite, into that record, so that they could read the note, as well as the option to respond directly within email using the email capture functionality, which would create a response to that note within NetSuite. So only the note owner can delete or archive, no one else tagged or administrator. So that's right, only the owner can delete or archive the note, and I'll double check on whether an administrator can do that across all of the notes as well. I'll run some tests and get back to you on that, Danica. So where can we view archived notes? So in terms of viewing archived notes, they would be viewed within the sticky notes board. On the right-hand side of the sticky notes board, you would have the option to view all of the archived notes from here, so that you can see any historic notes that have been entered in the system and collaborated on without losing visibility of those as well. Another question there around archive notes. Can you see archive notes directly on the record they were created on as well? Yes, you can. If you go into the sticky notes preference and then click show notes, it's going to show you any of the archive notes on that record as well. Okay, we've got another question from Praveen. Can you see sticky notes on item records? Yes, you can. So as long as you have that enabled on the item record type, then you can create and collaborate on sticky notes on the item record as well. So then we've got a question from Munya, which is on the file drag and drop around the folder configuration. So the question reads, what if I need different folders for different record types? How do I set that up? So when you're going through the configuration of the file drag and drop functionality and you're using the file drag and drop setup wizard, when you are selecting the different record types, you can select the folder that they are going to be saved into, or you can set up a folder pattern as well for that record type. That means if any users attach those documents through the drop zone, it's going to go directly into the folder for that record type as well. So a question there around account limits to file storage. So in terms of file storage limitations, it depends on the service tier that you're on. As standard, the file storage limit is 100 gigabytes. Now this can be expanded if required. So whether that is through an upgrade to a higher tier or whether it's through adding additional storage, you can do that to allow you to have the necessary file storage within NetSuite. And this can also be tracked and monitored in your view billing information, which will show you your current storage within NetSuite. That's correct, Michelle. As standard, it is up to 100 gigabytes. On your NetSuite order confirmation, it will define exactly what your file storage is. And if you go to the view billing information within NetSuite, you can also see the file cabinet storage limit that you are currently on from there. And if you've got any questions on that, I'm happy to run that through as well to show you how to find that information. You're welcome, Michelle. So a question there around the attachment of files to the line items. Can you view the files attached on the lines without seeing it first? So then you know which lines have attachments available to view and which ones don't. So you would be able to see all of the attachments across that transaction on the communication tab. And then by clicking on the show line level attachments, you would be able to see that line by line as well. And if you do have any questions or anything that you would want to discuss further, whether that's on StickyNotes, file drag and drop, or anything else NetSuite related, then I would be more than happy to discuss that with you in more detail. But if there's no further questions, then thanks a lot, everyone, for joining. I hope you have a great rest of the day and look forward to catching up with you all again soon. Thanks, everyone.